championship is heating up as we head to the third round of the season in Hungary. Welcome back to the Formula One Grid Talk podcast. Today we'll be previewing this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. We are powered by the F1 Chronicle. Visit F1 Chronicle for news, reviews and opinions on all things F1. Hosting today will be me, George Howson, and joining me today are sports journalist Louis Edwards.
Hello.
F1 expert Alex Booth.
Hello.
And sports journalist Mikael Kataja.
Hey.
So, lads, it's been an incredible race to start with in Austria, then a pretty decent race after that as well. And we're heading towards Hungary, where you have to say, Louis, that Mercedes are the firm favourites after these first two races, but Red Bull could well be challenging them a lot closer, especially on a tight circuit like this.
Yeah, I don't think there's no doubt that those two are going to be the ones challenging. Yeah, Mercedes have built one hell of a car, and I think even though we've had two races now at a very, high-speed track, long straights, go to a place where, a much more sort of downforce-dependent track, I think we're still going to see Mercedes do very well. But last year, Red Bull did very well there. Max was very unlucky not to win that race. It was an amazing strategy call from Mercedes that won him that race, and nothing Max could really do. But Red Bulls tend to be built for more downforce tracks. They're not ones that go for outright top speed. So we can only see. But yeah, Mercedes definitely looking very strong.
Yeah, even though the Mercedes probably doesn't suit Hungary as much as what the Red Bull does, the inherent pace in that car is just something else. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Mikael. I mean, Bottas won the race, obviously, first race of the season. Then he got second place this weekend in Styria. But what's been the reaction like in Finland? Are people backing Bottas for the title this year? Are they being more reserved? They're thinking, well, last year he was in this position and Hamilton still came out on top by miles.
Well, I would say that before the first race, there was a lot of talk about the fact that, he has to get it this year. This year, it's such a special season as well, the 2020 season, when you don't actually know how many races you're going to have. And people are like, well, if he starts well, then he might go on and actually fight Hamilton. So the fact that when he won, people were like, could this be his year? But of course, everyone understood that Hamilton just had an off weekend, and he doesn't have those many very often. So, yeah, it's still quite conservative for us to say that, oh yeah, this is Bottas' year. And one thing that, going to Hungary, he had an awful race there last year. I can't remember if he finished 7th or 8th. But he can't have that this year. He has to be, if not first, then right behind Lewis. But we can't have a repeat of last year.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he was well down. He was lapped by Hamilton and Verstappen. I guess most of the field was, but still. It was not a good race from Hungary last time at all. But yeah, Alex, how do you think Red Bull are going to get on this weekend? Obviously Verstappen, you'd expect him to be throwing the spanner in the works of the Mercedes, but I think pressure may be starting to mount on Alex Albon after his performance last week in Styria.
Possibly, yeah. It was a rather anonymous performance by Albon. He did okay in the week before. Hungary is probably going to be a better circuit than the Red Bull ring is for them, because it's a circuit that requires a lot of downforce, and we know how slippery the Red Bull car is, and with the design, it's always been very good around tight circuit. Having said that, Mercedes have won there, I think, something like 5 times in the last 7 years. It's clear it's very much their circuit, and Hamilton as well. He's fantastic around Hungary. I think it's one of his favourite circuits, and it's easy to see why. So they're very much the favourite. But I think Red Bull are probably going to be within more of a chance than they were in both races in Austria.
Yeah, I'd expect them to be closer, but like you say, Hamilton really likes Hungary. I think he's won there 5 or 6 times or something like that, which even by his standards is quite a few. But yeah, we go into this weekend, Lou, with McLaren of all teams in second place, and it's fully deserved. Second place in the Constructors' Championship. Lando Norris third as well in the Drivers' Championship. Given this form, and given that they should probably bet around tighter circuits like this, they've got a good chance of 5th and 6th.
Yeah, it's got a very good chance. Their race pace was definitely limited around, in Austria and Styria, just because of, that Renault doesn't have as much power as the Mercedes that the Mercedes engine that they're battling against with Racing Point. But, when that matters sort of a little bit less, I think we could see a pretty strong showing from McLaren here in Hungary. Of course, we don't We don't really know. Usually by the time we get to Hungary, we have a general idea of how cars work under high downforce. But if wet qualifying is anything to go by, that McLaren had some serious pace when engine power didn't matter as much. So I think we could potentially see something very special.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz third place in qualifying in Styria last weekend. There's no rain predicted. It's pretty standard weather for Hungary. It's high 20s, sunny. So no rain predicted for this weekend. We're not going to see a washout like we did this weekend around FP3 time for Styria. But yeah, I mean, Mikael, Racing Point, they probably did have the third fastest car in Austria. They didn't quite convert it to the points that they had, partly because of the qualifying on Saturday. But this is a track where if they're going to be a bit weaker, it's going to be somewhere like here.
Yeah, probably. Because it's difficult to say because we don't know about how those cars work with high downforce tracks. So difficult to say. And they had an awful qualifying in the rain. So it's tough to judge. But I would assume they would do still relatively fine. I mean, in the end, it is still sort of the pink version of last year's Mercedes, and they didn't do too bad either last year. So I would assume that they would be able to have both cars in the points, but then whether they would be too high up or possibly challenging Red Bull or Albon at least, I don't know, but I don't expect them to.
Yeah, I think if they're battling with the McLarens, they'll be happy about that. We'll see how they get on. I mean, Sergio Perez could pull out another ridiculous tyre-saving performance and get himself up the grid. You never know. Something like that could happen. But yeah, fifth place in the Constructors' Championship for the moment, Alex, Ferrari. And yes, they do have upgrades coming to this weekend. They desperately need it. But if you look at their results from last year, Hungary was one of the tracks they struggled the most at. I think they were Vettel and Leclerc were about a minute off of Hamilton and Verstappen.
Yeah, they were poor last season in Hungary. I think that was probably because of the fact that, in terms of handling, I don't think the Ferrari was as good as the Red Bull and Mercedes was last season. This season, it's probably a different kettle of fish. I think with the problems they've had with the engine, that'll probably be masked a bit in Hungary because Hungary's not a circuit where top speed is the issue. So the lack of grunt that they've got at the moment may be less of a problem there. But as well, if the car's not handling very well, then they're going to be even more trouble. So, and there's only a week between the races, as we've got in this short season. There's not a lot of time to really go over things and sort them out. So it's really not a good time for Ferrari at the moment. I think they're really on the back foot. And barring a lucky result, which, let's be fair, happened in the first race in Austria with Cliff, I don't expect much from them in Hungary at all.
No, I don't really expect much from them either. I mean, that second place is absolutely carrying them at the moment. I mean, that's 18 of the 19 points at the moment. And on current pace at the moment, Louis, you wouldn't rule out the Renault being faster than Ferrari around Hungary.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's close in that midfield battle. The McLaren, Racing Point, and Renault, they're very individual cars in their own way, but they do seem to have very similar pace. And we saw good showing from both Renault cars. I'm sort of trying to use sort of the rain as my best sort of guide because from testing in Barcelona, it isn't that high downforce, and then I think they could potentially be battling with the Racing Point and potentially the McLaren, but we'll just have to see because I have no idea.
Yeah, there's so little to go on. Normally we've had like 10 races by now. They've only had 2 and both at the same track, so there's not really anything to go off. Ricciardo goes well at Hungary. He won there in 2014, I think, didn't he? For a very good move on Alonso. I think he got second as well the year after. He does do well at Hungary in general. Obviously, helped by the Red Bull being quite good, but he does do pretty well around there. So I won't rule him out for a good points finish, maybe 5th or 6th. I think that's definitely possible for him. But yeah, Mikael, so AlphaTauri next. I mean, just like I was saying, they've been a solid end of the points kind of runner. But I think Gasly there, it was Gasly's last race of Red Bull, never mind. I'm getting mixed up, I think. But I think he did a really good race for Toro Rosso the year before. So it's a track where he can perform round.
Yeah, overall, I think it could be one that Gasly could have a decent result. The thing that I'm worried, I guess, for AlphaTauri's sake is the fact that, well, the engine power doesn't matter too much. So could the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo and Haas get closer to AlphaTauri or not? We don't know, but I think it's very possible that we might see Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, perhaps both Haases as well, really compete with AlphaTauri for those last few points. So yeah, I don't know. It really comes down to how good the car is with high downforce.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very possible. Yeah, it's very possible that Alfa Romeo and Haas could get closer to them if the engine deficit is that significant, which we think it is, given how slow all the Ferrari-powered teams have been so far this season. But yeah, Alfa Romeo, Alex, I mean, it's a car that's absolutely stunningly beautiful, but at the end of the day, it is not particularly fast, and I think it's going to take a minor miracle for him to get points in Hungary. But Raikkonen was only one place off in stereo, so you never know.
You never know, and if reliability is still a problem, which it has been, it wasn't so much in the second race at the Red Bull Ring, but it certainly was the first. And if we get it, I mean, Hungary can be a bit of a car breaker sometimes, and if Alfa Romeo is one of the cars that doesn't break, then they've got a good chance of some points. And Kimi is vast experience, as we know, and certainly got the right driver in that respect who can bring the car home and get some points. It really, I think it's more going to depend on what happens ahead of them. If a lot of the cars are finishing, then maybe they're going to be at the bottom of the pecking order. But they could probably pick up the pieces if a lot fall off. And sadly, I don't expect them to break the top 10 on merit, which is a shame. But you never know your luck.
You never know. It's certainly possible. They could mix it up. I mean, Giovinazzi obviously scored points in Austrian first race of the season, so it's definitely possible. Although that was just a remarkable race. I mean, 11 finishes. Only Latifi, the one guy who finished who didn't get in the points. I really do feel for him because of that. But yeah, Louis. I mean, we got Haas next, and just the car's not really there. And this is one of the toughest circuits of the year on brakes. Something that they have really struggled with so far.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they have a double DNF in this race. Honestly, it would. Yeah, their brake-by-wire issue was hugely impactful on their first race because they had a double DNF, and now this race, Grosjean was locking up. Magnussen just didn't seem to have much pace, and something that they're really going to need to fix soon. But it's not. Alex said, it's so short between these races. There's just not a lot of time. Just go, oh yeah, we have this issue. We need to fix it for the next race because they'll be packing up today, shipping to Hungary, and it's only 5 days until they're out back on track again. That's not enough time to completely sort out their brake issues. So yeah, I can see this not going to be too brilliant for Haas.
Signs are definitely not positive for them, but again, you never know. You never know with the reliability issues we've had so far this season. Another team that's still struggling, Mikael, is Williams. I mean, they are more competitive this year, but that car is still probably the slowest on the grid. And aside from a miracle from George Russell, it's still hard for him to see him getting a top 10.
Yeah, I mean, the way Russell was able to drive it yesterday in the rain really shows how his racecraft, but doesn't really show the car's racecraft. And yeah, again, it's the same story that with Alfa Romeo, that unless there are people crashing in the points, there is no chance that Williams is going to pick up anything from Hungary to bring back home. I still think they are behind Alfa Romeo and Haas, just in terms of like how the car handles, how the car drives. But again, I mean, if they're more reliable than Haas, well, that's 2 cars behind them, assuming they'll have a double DNF, and then it just comes down to how many other teams are going to break down in front of them. But yeah, I'll be excited to see where George drives it in the qualifying, because I think he was very close to making it into Q2 last year in Hungary. So maybe he'll be able to pull out a miracle there, but P15, P16 is the most I'll give it them in a race that doesn't see many DNFs.
Yeah, it's really hard to see him scoring points again, but Russell could hold people. One of the things with Hungary is one of the hardest tracks on the calendar to overtake at. It's Monaco without the barriers. So if he does a really long run, gets a safety car, he could hold people up. But even so, that Williams would not be able to hold off a Renault or maybe even a Ferrari or someone like that. It'd be very difficult to see him getting top 10. But it's definitely possible. But yeah, let's go through some news stories that have been happening. I mean, obviously, Louis and Owain did cover some of these in the qualifying show yesterday. I want to get some of your guys' takes on it, obviously, as well. So the biggest one of them all, obviously, is Fernando Alonso. He will be back next year, driving for Renault, replacing Daniel Ricciardo at the team, partnering Esteban Ocon at the team for 2 years. And Alex, I mean, this is one where it's it's hard to know how to feel about it. Yes, it's a former champion coming back. He's got incredible pace. You know, he's going for the Triple Crown this year as well. First man since Graham Hill to get that. But this has massive potential to backfire for Renault.
Yeah, you know, we've seen a lot of career moves from Alonso in the past where it's just not worked. And, you know, you'd be a brave man betting against this, being this not being one of them. I mean, I've never denied in the past. I've always been a massive Alonso fan, a Renault fan as well, as you can even see here.
Really? I never would have guessed.
It's hard to look at it, I suppose, because if you're looking at it from a Renault point of view, you've got Ocon in the team, other drivers coming through, you think, well, Fernando Alonso is probably stronger than some of the other drivers that they might have signed. I mean, at the moment, is Alonso probably a better prospect than Vettel? I would probably say yes, because to me, Sebastian just doesn't seem like he's motivated at the moment, or he's certainly not at his level that he could have been. It's probably a confidence thing, maybe, but I don't know. Fernando Alonso is definitely fired up. He, like you mentioned, he's going for the Triple Crown. He feels like he's got unfinished business in Formula One, and he's going to be more determined. I don't, because I've seen people compare the situation to when Michael Schumacher came back. And I don't think it's the same thing because at that time, you know, Michael had nothing to prove. He'd already broken every record there was in Formula 1 at that point, or every one that was worth mentioning. And whereas with Alonso, it definitely is the case of unfinished business. He's kind of going back home to a degree because he grew up in Formula 1 with the Renault team. It would be a fantastic fairy tale if he could achieve something with them. And there is this potential of the 2022 regulations, which I think is part of the reason why he decided to come back in the first place. But it's a very risky move. And the thing that I was thinking of when I first read it was how long are they thinking that this is going to be for? Because obviously Formula 1 drivers are a lot fitter now, and you know age probably isn't fully a concern. But because Kimi Räikkönen is still doing fantastic, even at the age of 40, which Alonso is going to be 40 next year. But how long term a contract is that going to be? Are Renault really looking at 5 years in the future, or are they just looking at 2022? It seems a very bizarre state of affairs. But from an exciting point of view, Fernando Alonso is back, and that's terrific for Formula One. A great character, whether he's a pantomime villain or whether he's, you know, the legend. It doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, he is fantastic for Formula One. But let's hope that for his sake, it's not another McLaren performance, McLaren Honda performance.
Yeah. Let's hope it's not another repeat for him. I mean, I think part of it is that Abiteboul is under massive pressure to perform, and he's thinking, right, who's going to do better for me next year? Zhou, who's he might win the F2 championship this year. You don't know, or a guy that's a world champion, arguably the fastest. Well, he was probably the fastest guy on the grid for many, many years. Probably the fastest now, maybe, if you take out Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen. So that's probably what he's thinking. But yeah, it's got big potential to backfire. But let us know how you guys feel about it. Tweet us at F1 Chronicle. Is Alonso coming back to F1 good? Will he perform? Can Renault win a world championship in 2022? Who knows? The possibilities are endless, really. We've really got no idea when it comes to that. Almost anything could happen. You mentioned Vettel there, Alex, but there's a rumour going around, Louis, about obviously Vettel was linked with the Renault move. Now it's seeming like it's probably Haas or bust. And there's that rumour that we saw on the chat earlier on today about Haas offering Vettel a contract. I mean, obviously those things may not work out. I mean, I could ask Margot Robbie out. Doesn't mean she's going to say yes.
Yeah.
I had to get that one in there. I had to do it. But it's no offense to Haas, but it's genuinely like you just can't see it. I mean, Grosjean partly got signed this year because he was on such a little contract. I mean, Vettel's got to be on, 50 million a year at Ferrari. I just don't see them taking him. I just don't see that happening.
One thing I will say about Haas is that they do need to get rid of their driver pairing. I think it has been a very toxic driver pairing for the last few years. And even though they didn't come together in the last race, which was shocking and surprising, yeah, they just caused too many issues. And I think, Kevin has a lot of raw pace. I think we've seen that. Grosjean, I don't think he has that raw pace that he used to. And would Vettel fit in there instead? No, I don't think he'd do it. I think it's a bit too much of a step down. I mean, he's only going to have to look at this year's package and go, oh my God, it's even worse than the crap that I'm in already. So, yeah, I don't think that's realistic. If anything, Haas would probably promote a junior driver, maybe Fittipaldi or Delatraz, potentially.
Yeah, it does seem like that's more likely, definitely. But yeah, so again, let us know what you think. Comment below, comment on YouTube, comment on wherever you're listening or watching this. Tune into a live stream as well. This is going out live, obviously, now on Twitch. Just go for F1 Grid Talk and you'll be able to find us. We always let you know when we're streaming as well, usually Saturday afternoons and Sunday evenings as well, after the race and the qualifying. But yeah, the other big news, Kale, is that we've got 2 more races confirmed as well this year. We've got Mugello, yay. We've got Sochi, nay. So 2 more races for the calendar, but mixed bag to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fact that we're getting Mugello is very exciting. It's a completely new track. No one really knows how the F1 cars are going to behave there when they're actually in racing conditions. Of course, we've heard what older F1 drivers have said about how it would feel to drive in Mugello or drive around Mugello. So yeah, that's obviously amazing. We already touched upon it in the review of the Grand Prix last week, and maybe not that good of a news for Ferrari after all, but we'll see. But in terms of Sochi coming back, I mean, I personally have mixed feelings because, yeah, it's an awful racetrack. But at the same time, I mean, Bottas has had a lot of success there.
I knew that was coming. I knew it.
So I can't really hate the fact that the track is in the calendar again this year. So I mean, yeah, it's not going to be an exciting weekend. We all know that. Or I mean, who knows? Maybe it's going to rain, but has it ever rained in Sochi? I don't think so. Who knows? If Bottas wins, it'll earn its spot on my calendar. But you know, I completely get why people hate the fact that it's on there.
Yeah, let's just be glad it's not a double weekend like people were double header like people were touting, because that'd just be, oh god, that is 6 hours of my life I'm never getting back at that point. It's not
a double header Sochi to finish off the season.
Oh, don't even joke about that. Don't even joke about that. Oh man. But yes, Mugello is going to be very exciting. Or to give it its full name, the Autodromo Internazionale de Mugello, Scarpia e San Piero. So I've just seen they've had to elongate the name tab, the name like cell or whatever, just for that track on Wikipedia. It's a massive name. But yeah, no, it's going to be exciting on that one, because obviously I think some people have been saying, oh, they're not going to drop below 4th gear apart from pit stops and safety cars. So it's going to be a very, very rapid one. Rumours as well, Alex, about after that, we've got, obviously, people are saying Hockenheim, people are saying the Algarve, Portugal, and people are still saying Imola as well. I mean, where do you think the calendar's going to go from there? Do you think we're going to stay in Europe, or do you think we're going to go out to Asia, which has been really touted?
I think we're going to get more races in Europe. I personally hope that we're going to go to Portimao and the Algarve. I really like that circuit. I think Formula 1 cars will be fantastic around there. I do think we'll end up going to China. I can see that going on the calendar. Maybe Bahrain as well. They're probably the 2 non-European races that have got a very high chance of being on the calendar. And I think, so we're on 10 races now, that'll be 13. I think probably be looking at about 16 races, which will be the ultimate goal at the moment. That'd be very, very much old school, really. We always used to have 16. And it would make for a reasonably long season. But it just depends on time, because we're already going towards the end of September. Sochi was born its original slot for September 27th, I think it is. So Algarve will fit on October the 4th, or even the week after that. And it depends how long and how later in the year they're going to go. They're going to go straight into mid-December, and that would only leave space for about 4 or 5. So, yeah, but in answer to the original question, it's mainly going to be European-based, I think. I don't think we're going to get many races outside Europe.
You might be right with that. We'll have to see what happens, obviously. But I think we probably will end the year in Bahrain or Abu Dhabi mid-December, because it went to early December last year, I think. 1st of December was the race.
Formula One are going to the way the management's run, and this is very cynical from me, but they're not going to settle for anything outside Abu Dhabi. The season finale, I would imagine. They'll either be Bahrain or Abu Dhabi.
It doesn't change it, does it? It's always the same. That's got to be the showpiece event at the end of the year. Yeah, so there we go. We'll see what happens with that. Again, let us know what you think. What's going to happen with the calendar? I think we are probably going to get some more races. I'm hearing Portugal for the week or 2 weeks after Russia. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, back to the race in Hungary this weekend. So let's go with our top three. So I'm gonna say Hamilton. I'm gonna say a very stubborn Verstappen, and then Bottas third. Louis, who are you saying?
I'm going to go Verstappen win,
Ooh.
Bottas second, Hamilton third.
Ooh. Mikael?
I'll just go with a different guess. I'll go with Bottas. Yeah, Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen.
Okay. Alex?
I find it hard to give it to anyone
We've not
else.
got a lot to go on, have we? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see Hamilton not winning in Hungary, to be brutally honest with you. I'm going to Mercedes 1-2, Hamilton, Bottas. Sorry, Mikael.
Fair enough.
And and Verstappen third.
Well, if Mikael's right, then Bottas will get his own back in Sochi. So we'll see how that goes. Right, bold prediction time. I've gone with Russell for the points for the last 2 weekends. I'm going to go away from that. So you'll probably get in top 10, going by that logic. But I'm going to say, I'm looking down the order here. I'm going to go with... It's not that bold of a prediction. I'm going to go Ocon for 5th. I'm just going to put it out there. I think Renault will do decent around Hungary. Louis?
I never know with these. I really should be prepared.
I always come to you after me as well. You're always on the first on that order.
I'm going to go Latifi in Q2.
Oh, I can't believe it's been over a year since Williams had been in Q2 before this weekend. I just thought, they must have got one, but now.
It's funny Louis says that, because I don't think we're giving Latifi enough credit, really, so far this year. He's definitely a lot closer to Russell and Kubica was.
Oh, yeah. He's doing decent.
In the last race, he was ahead of Russell for quite a lot of that race. He's doing very well. It was just in the sort of the last third where he drops off a bit.
Yeah, he's doing an all right job, to be fair. It's not easy coming in and being a rookie, being a teammate to George Russell and driving that Williams car. It's not easy at all. He's doing a decent job. I play to him. Mikael?
I'm going to say Alfa Romeo on points. I'm not going to say which one, but I'll just say Alfa Romeo on points.
He obviously means Giovinazzi.
Yeah, of course.
Alex, are you going for a top 5 for Latifi then? Are you bigging him up?
No. I'm going to go for Ferrari bounce back.
What, 9th and 10th?
That would be bouncing back, wouldn't it? No, my bold prediction is Ferrari do pull something out of the hat and they do get a good haul of points. Maybe even third at best.
Third? Oh. I mean, they're on the podium this season in Ferrari, but they need an absolutely manic race again.
And if that does happen, I'm buying a lottery ticket afterwards.
Oh, yeah, you should do, mate. Yeah, let us know what you think about this race. Who's going to win? Who's going to be top 10? Who's going to be fastest lap? Maybe even McLaren again as the fastest lap. Tweet us at F1 Chronicle there. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, lads. We really do appreciate it.
No worries.
Oh, you're welcome.
Nice to be.
And yes, we are also available on the F1 Chronicles website and also YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, Omni Studio, Pocket Casts, just search the F1 Grid Talk and all those. We live stream these shows as we've mentioned before, so search for F1 Grid Talk on Twitch. Really do appreciate it. Had some great comments this time. It's been brilliant going through them all. Thank you, Ruby and Wayne, for those. We have a huge back catalogue of shows as well. I think this is episode number 40 somehow. We're coming up to a year of being on the internet, so there's a huge collection there. Obviously, we've got some documentary style ones too. Mentioned about Mario Isola, the head of Pirelli F1. We interviewed him a while back, so do look for things like that in the center episode and stuff like that. We have a Reddit where you can suggest ideas to us, new F1 podcasts looking for ideas. Subreddit as well for the F1 Grid Talk, just to get a general discussion about the show. If you want to find out where my hair all went, it's on the barber's floor. It generally looked like someone had shaved a dog below me. It was a lot. 9 months of growth was it was eventful. But yeah, and also finally we have a Patreon too if you want to donate to new lights, mics and cameras as well. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back with the qualifying show for the Hungarian Grand Prix on Saturday. There could be some surprises, or it could be Lewis Hamilton again with yet another pole position. I think that'd be number 90, which is insane when you think about it. But yes, we'll see you then, and we'll see you the next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.